The courtroom was a pressure cooker, every inch of it vibrating with tension so thick it felt almost tangible. You could hear whispers, the scratching of pens, the shuffle of papers, and the low hum of anticipation that only builds when something monumental is about to unfold. Young Thug, one of the most controversial figures in modern hip-hop, sat at the defense table, a calm figure in a storm that threatened to consume him. But make no mistake, the calm on his face was deceptive. Every slight twitch, every subtle glance, every rigid posture spoke volumes to those paying attention. Today wasn't just a hearing, it was the culmination of years of rumors, scandals, and street whispers that had finally bled into the courtroom. If you think you know Young Thug, think again. This is a man whose career has been a roller coaster of headlines, from music chart dominance to public altercations and arrests that have kept paparazzi and journalists on high alert. But this wasn't just another media circus. The case before the court was layered, complex, and had the potential to redefine his legacy forever. Past incidents were nothing compared to what insiders were calling the most explosive evidence we've seen in years. And believe me, when sources speak like that, it's not just hype, it's a storm warning. As Thug entered, the atmosphere shifted. Cameras clicked, phones rose, and fans craned their necks to catch even the briefest glimpse. Security staff exchanged uneasy glances. The tension wasn't just from the proceedings, it was the unspoken understanding that the man before them had power, influence, and reach that extended far beyond the courtroom walls. Every step he took was scrutinized, every facial expression analyzed, every movement dissected. It was almost cinematic, a scene straight out of a thriller, where the hero, or the anti-hero, faces the music and the consequences of a life lived in the public eye. The judge, a stern figure with a commanding presence, entered and the room instantly hushed. Her voice carried weight, every word deliberate. This case will proceed with full attention and seriousness. Cooperation from all parties is expected. It was a simple statement, yet the subtext was crystal clear. Today, no slip-ups, no distractions, no theatrics. Yet the very nature of this case practically begged for chaos. Courtroom sources, speaking anonymously but with urgency, revealed the first hints of what was about to explode onto the scene. A set of previously undisclosed documents had been filed late last night, and rumors suggested they included video evidence, confessions, and messages that could implicate not just Thug, but a broader network of associates, friends, and even rivals. If true, this wasn't merely a case, it was a chessboard, each piece moving in ways that could topple empires. Lawyers scrambled to review the materials, whispering to each other, eyes wide, hands trembling as they tried to anticipate the next blow. And then came the first witness, a figure cloaked in secrecy, whose identity had been concealed until the very last minute. The air thickened as the witness took the stand, and with each word, the room seemed to hold its collective breath. The testimony painted a picture of complexity, meetings in dimly lit rooms, hurried phone calls, cryptic messages, and transactions that seemed to stretch the limits of legality. Every claim added layers of suspense, intrigue, and tension. The gallery erupted quietly, some clutching their heads in disbelief, others whispering theories to anyone who would listen. Young Thug's reaction was subtle, yet telling. He remained composed, hands folded neatly, eyes steady, but insiders noted the micro-expressions, the flicker of tension across his jaw, the way his fingers tapped lightly on the table. Every detail mattered, every second counted. Could he maintain control under the intense scrutiny? Could he navigate the storm that was unfolding so rapidly around him? The answer wasn't clear, and that ambiguity was feeding the suspense inside the courtroom. Meanwhile, outside the court, social media was ablaze. Clips of Thug's entrance, the judge's stern warnings, and snippets of the anonymous witness's testimony circulated instantly. Memes, hot takes, and heated debates ignited across platforms. Fans and critics alike dissected every movement, every word, and every glance.
"Is this the end for Young Thug?" one trending tweet asked, while another speculated, "This is bigger than the music. It's about power, influence, and survival." The hashtags were trending within minutes, turning a local courtroom drama into a viral sensation, reaching millions across the globe. Back inside, the tension escalated as new evidence was revealed. Courtroom insiders described it as unprecedented: hidden communications, secret surveillance footage, and confessions that appeared to have been recorded without prior knowledge. The revelations sent shockwaves through the room. Defense attorneys exchanged urgent whispers, scribbling notes furiously. The prosecution's face remained unreadable, but there was a subtle satisfaction in their demeanor, the kind that suggests, "We know something you don't." And then came the bombshell. A confidential report from an anonymous source hinted at financial irregularities, hidden assets, and transactions designed to obscure ownership and control. Each detail seemed more sensational than the last. Offshore accounts, luxury purchases, and cryptic transfers that suggested a network operating in plain sight, yet hidden from authorities. The gallery gasped. Journalists leaned forward, cameras zooming, capturing reactions that would dominate the next day's headlines. The courtroom atmosphere was electric, almost unbearable. Every witness statement, every legal maneuver, and every whispered speculation contributed to a mounting sense of inevitability. Something monumental was about to be revealed. Sources close to the case noted that rival figures in the industry were watching, not just for the outcome, but for every subtle movement, every signal that could give them leverage or insight. The tension wasn't just legal, it was personal, cultural, and generational. And then, in what insiders later described as a moment frozen in time, Young Thug's phone buzzed. Some say it was a message from a confidant outside. Others suggest it was a signal for a last-minute legal strategy. Whatever the source, the moment was symbolic, the collision of the public and the private, the visible and the invisible forces at play. Every micro-expression, every subtle gesture was amplified under the scrutiny of hundreds of eyes, all desperate to decipher the story unfolding in real time. As the first half of the hearing came to a close, the tension reached a crescendo. Legal analysts whispered about the implications: asset freezes, expanded investigations, and cascading charges that could reach far beyond the immediate case. The social media frenzy continued to swell, opinions diverged, and theories exploded across forums and news feeds. This wasn't merely a legal proceeding, it was a cultural event.
Moment where music, fame, power, and law intersected in ways that were unpredictable, volatile, and undeniably captivating. And so part one concludes with the courtroom at a tipping point. Young Thug sits, calm but alert, lawyers are on edge, the gallery is frozen with anticipation, and the outside world watches, memes at the ready, theories forming, debates raging. The next chapters, the full scandal breakdown, leaked evidence, confessions, and the cascading fallout, promise to push this story into territories no one could have imagined. Part 2. As the courtroom doors swung open for the next session, the air was electric, thick with anticipation, speculation, and that unmistakable sense that we were witnessing history in real time. Part 1 had set the stage: Young Thug, the courtroom, the tense whispers, and the first hints of explosive evidence. But what unfolded next would push the story far beyond speculation, into territory that could redefine not only Thug's legal fate, but the very landscape of his public image. The prosecution wasted no time. Fresh documents were presented, evidence meticulously organized, each sheet, photo, and video clip crafted to maximize impact. Sources describe the moment as strategic theater, a carefully choreographed reveal designed to shock, intimidate, and unsettle. Every observer in that room felt it: the undeniable gravity of the situation, the invisible threads pulling together decades of rumors, arrests, and industry whispers, now converging in one relentless narrative. Anonymous sources, speaking with voices tinged with urgency, began leaking key insights to media outlets. According to one insider, the evidence wasn't just circumstantial, it was damning. Hidden communications suggested coordination with individuals beyond the immediate circle. Financial transactions implied a level of planning and sophistication that went beyond casual oversight. Courtroom attendees whispered about offshore accounts, luxury purchases registered under aliases, and cryptic contracts that, if accurate, painted a picture of a network operating in the shadows, yet influencing the very mainstream culture Young Thug dominated. Meanwhile, the video evidence took center stage. Surveillance clips, allegedly captured months prior, revealed interactions that were subtle to the untrained eye but explosive under scrutiny. Observers noted coded gestures, discreet exchanges, and moments of tension that suggested a carefully plotted plan, a premeditated orchestration. While the raw footage was grainy, the implications were crystal clear. Someone had been watching, documenting, and connecting the dots long before the courtroom drama began. The whispers in the gallery turned to murmurs, then to audible gasps. Analysts leaned forward, scrutinizing every frame, every flicker of expression, searching for insight, motive, and betrayal. One particularly controversial revelation came from a series of allegedly intercepted messages. According to insiders, these messages suggested a timeline of events that contradicted earlier statements provided by Thug's legal team. If verified, the contradictions could undermine his defense strategy, painting a narrative of deliberate misinformation. The timing of these communications is critical, one source explained. It's not just about what was said, but when and to whom. Everything aligns to suggest orchestration, and that's what makes this case truly explosive. The public reaction was immediate. Social media erupted with debates, memes, and viral speculation. Clips of the evidence circulated rapidly, dissected by fans, critics, and conspiracy theorists alike. Trending hashtags multiplied within minutes, each one a sign of the cultural storm this case had become. "Is this the end for Young Thug?" one tweet asked, while another insisted, "This goes way beyond music. This is about influence, power, and survival in plain sight." Comment sections overflowed with theories, predictions, and passionate defenses, creating a cacophony of voices that mirrored the courtroom's tension. Courtroom dynamics added another layer of intrigue. Witnesses, some shielded behind anonymity, took the stand one after another, each delivering statements that added nuance, shock, and complexity to the emerging narrative. Lawyers whispered furiously, shuffling papers, exchanging glances, and recalibrating strategies in real time. Even the judge, while maintaining a stoic facade, occasionally paused, the weight of the revelations pressing through the room. Every statement, every clarification, every cross-examination became a chess move, calculated and consequential. Leaked reports hinted at more than just internal inconsistencies. Financial auditors, working behind the scenes, allegedly uncovered patterns of suspicious transactions, lavish spending, and potential money laundering schemes. Luxury cars, private jets, and properties were traced to front companies, suggesting a deliberate attempt to obscure ownership and avoid scrutiny. The depth of the investigation, insiders claimed, was unprecedented, linking Young Thug's public persona to a complex web of financial and social maneuvering. Every revelation seemed designed to compound tension, turning the courtroom into a pressure cooker ready to explode. Public sentiment outside the courtroom mirrored the escalating tension inside. Industry insiders speculated that the fallout could reshape alliances, influence power structures, and create a ripple effect across the hip-hop community. Social media influencers dissected evidence with surgical precision, debating the implications of each detail. Podcasts and live streams ran 24/7, analyzing facial expression, tone of voice, and contextual clues. The narrative was no longer confined to the courtroom, it had become a cultural event, a phenomenon capturing the attention of millions globally. Then came a critical turning point. Anonymous sources revealed alleged confessions captured in what they described as unwitting admissions during private meetings. These statements, if authenticated, suggested direct involvement in orchestrating events tied to the case. While the veracity of these claims was fiercely debated, the existence of the reports was enough to escalate tension and speculation. Legal experts speculated that, if verified, these confessions could shift the trajectory of the case dramatically, adding weight to the prosecution's narrative. The atmosphere was charged, almost unbearable. Observers described a courtroom that felt like it had reached a fever pitch, a moment where reality and speculation blurred. Every whisper, every glance, every subtle reaction carried meaning. The legal teams Battle had transformed into a psychological game, testing endurance, patience, and strategic thinking. Young Thug remained composed on the surface, but sources noted micro-expressions, an imperceptible tightening of the jaw, a subtle narrowing of the eyes, a hand tapping lightly, that suggested internal tension. At the end of this grueling session, the narrative was clear. Part 2 had unveiled layers of intrigue, potential evidence, and public reaction that escalated the story beyond anything seen in the first session. Leaked documents, surveillance footage, intercepted messages, and alleged confessions all contributed to a complex tapestry, painting Young Thug not merely as a defendant, but as a central figure in a high-stakes drama, where every move, word, and gesture was analyzed, dissected, and debated. As the courtroom recessed, analysts speculated about the cascading implications, financial probes, potential new charges, and the social consequences of being implicated in such a widespread, high-profile scandal. Every stakeholder, from lawyers to fans, from journalists to rivals, understood the gravity. This story was far from over, and the next chapter promised even greater revelations, public reactions, and consequences. Part 3. As the court reconvened for what everyone anticipated as the final stretch, the atmosphere was electric with tension. Part 2 had exposed layers of potential evidence, leaked confessions, financial irregularities, and public outrage. But now, Part 3 would dive into the fallout, legal, social, and personal, that would define the trajectory of Young Thug's life and legacy. Every eye in the courtroom was fixed on him. Every whisper outside the courthouse rippled through social media, news outlets, and fan communities alike. The implications of what had been revealed were staggering, and for many it felt as if the world had collectively paused to witness history unfold. The prosecution opened with a compelling narrative, stitching together threads from the evidence introduced in prior sessions. Witnesses were called back, their testimonies refined and sharpened, each statement layered with calculated precision. One particularly sensational moment came when a former insider recounted alleged interactions with Young Thug in what was described as a shadow network of coordination that blurred the lines between legitimate business, influence peddling, and illicit activity. According to the testimony, these interactions weren't merely casual, they were highly orchestrated, deliberate, and designed to shield certain actions from public scrutiny. Every detail mattered, and the court absorbed it with a mix of awe, disbelief, and rising concern. Meanwhile, leaked investigative reports painted a picture that extended beyond the courtroom walls. Allegedly, auditors and undercover investigators traced a web of financial transactions that suggested the existence of offshore holdings, unreported earnings, and purchases designed to evade oversight. Luxury properties, exotic vehicles, and high-end fashion items appeared linked to intricate corporate structures, further complicating the narrative. Legal analysts speculated that this could lead to additional charges if substantiated, charges that might drastically alter Young Thug's legal standing and financial stability. Social media erupted once again as influencers, journalists, and everyday users debated the authenticity, implications, and morality of these claims. Memes, viral videos, and trending hashtags transformed the legal battle into a cultural phenomenon, blurring the line between entertainment and judicial consequence. As the session progressed, the tension escalated. Every subtle gesture, glance, and reaction was scrutinized by attorneys, reporters, and fans alike. Observers noted the psychological strain, microexpressions, shifts in posture, and moments of hesitation, all interpreted as indicators of stress, guilt, or strategic contemplation. The courtroom became a theater of tension, each participant acutely aware that any misstep could be magnified, recorded, and dissected across the global stage. One of the most explosive revelations came from an alleged confession that had been secretly recorded months earlier.
According to insiders, the footage showed young Thug speaking candidly about past events, seemingly unaware that he was being documented. The implications were staggering. Legal experts speculated that if verified, this could serve as undeniable evidence in a court of law, potentially tipping the scales dramatically. The prosecution emphasized the gravity of this material, framing it as the keystone in their narrative of premeditation and deliberate obfuscation. Every frame, every word, every pause became a point of scrutiny, with commentators and analysts dissecting the implications in real time. Public reactions mirrored the intensity inside the courtroom. Fans flooded social media with conflicting perspectives, some defending Thug's innocence, others convinced of his culpability. Hashtags trended globally, news outlets scrambled for analysis, and live streams dissected every aspect of the evidence, testimony, and procedural developments. The narrative had become more than a legal battle. It had evolved into a cultural event, with stakes extending far beyond the individual, touching the music industry, celebrity culture, and even questions about accountability, influence, and morality in public life. Meanwhile, legal strategists highlighted potential consequences beyond the immediate trial. Hypothetical scenarios included financial probes, asset freezes, and possible federal investigations that could extend for years. Sources speculated that if further evidence emerged corroborating offshore holdings or undisclosed transactions, Thug could face multiple avenues of legal jeopardy. Some insiders even suggested that key associates might be called to testify, potentially triggering a chain reaction of revelations that would amplify the scandal exponentially. The courtroom, previously a confined space of legal procedure, now felt like the epicenter of a social, financial, and cultural earthquake. Even the judge, while maintaining formal composure, appeared visibly aware of the stakes. Observers noted subtle shifts in tone, pauses that suggested contemplation, and deliberate efforts to control the narrative while maintaining impartiality. Legal commentators speculated that the judge's decisions would likely set precedents, influencing not only the outcome of this trial, but also how similar cases might be approached in the future. Every ruling, every objection, every procedural maneuver was magnified, creating a layered drama of strategy, interpretation, and consequence. As the session approached its climax, attention turned to young Thug's defense team. They presented counter-arguments, alternative interpretations of evidence, and character testimonials designed to humanize their client. Yet the weight of the previous revelations made each defense point feel precarious. The courtroom felt like a delicate balance between narrative control and raw exposure, with every argument potentially swaying public perception and legal outcome. Analysts noted the strategic brilliance and simultaneous peril of attempting to counteract a wave of evidence that had already captured global attention. By the final moments of the session, the scale of the fallout was undeniable. Leaked insider reports suggested that record labels, sponsors, and collaborators were quietly reassessing partnerships. Social media buzzed with speculation about canceled contracts, postponed tours, and long-term reputational damage. The case had transcended its immediate legal boundaries, morphing into a cultural referendum on accountability, influence, and public persona. Fans and critics alike debated the broader implications. Could a single trial redefine celebrity responsibility? Would alliances within the industry shift dramatically in response? Part 3 concluded with a sense of unresolved tension, perfectly setting the stage for the next chapter. While legal proceedings continued, the social, cultural, and personal ramifications had already begun to ripple outward. Young Thug's story was no longer confined to a courtroom. It was a narrative unfolding in real time with millions of spectators watching, commenting, and reacting. The combination of leaked evidence, public outrage, and strategic legal maneuvering had created a high-stakes spectacle that promised to shape public discourse for months, if not years, to come. So here's the real question, folks. After everything we've uncovered, leaks, confessions, insider reports, and the chaos that's spilling far beyond the courtroom, what does this mean for young Thug, his career, and the world watching every twist and turn? Are we witnessing the rise of accountability, or is this just another chapter in the long saga of celebrity excess, influence, and unchecked power? Think about it. Contracts could be canceled,
sponsors reevaluated, and partnerships dissolved. The ripple effect doesn't stop at him, it touches everyone in his circle. And while the legal system works at its own pace, the public eye, oh, that moves lightning fast. Every clip, every tweet, every leaked detail is already shaping narratives, opinions, and reputations worldwide. This isn't just news, it's history unfolding in real time. Now, I want to hear from you. What do you think really happened behind those courtroom doors? Was Al orchestrated? Or is Young Thug just another victim of circumstance, caught in a whirlwind of fame, money, and power? Drop your thoughts in the comments. Don't hold back. We're talking rumors, leaks, insider gossip, everything. Let's break this down together. And listen, if you've been writing with me through this explosive breakdown and you want to stay ahead of the next big scandal, smash that like button. Hit subscribe and ring the bell because trust me, you don't want to miss a single truth that's about to hit the headlines. The stories are only getting wilder, the leaks only getting juicier, and the drama, well, it's far from over. So comment, share, and join the conversation. Because when the walls of the courtroom tremble, the streets, social media, and every corner of the internet feel it too. And this story, it's just getting started.